Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 1 in the Nekomonogatari Kuro series. I don't really know what to call it at this point. It's part of the Monogatari series. My naming convention was always a little bit weird. So yeah, new entry today. So hooray, we're out of Nissan Monogatari, I guess. I don't know, that's a little bit mean in Nissan Monogatari. It's still really good. I loved it. Thought it was great, especially the last episodes. Speaking of the last episodes, I'm just going to jump into the comments from last week to see what you guys thought about the last two episodes of Nissan Monogatari. I think there's a lot of really long comments this week, but they're all really great, so I wanted to read them out. So, yeah. First comment here from Evgeny Kuzenkov. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It was a shogi research club, he said right before the shot where he says it's an occult club. Yes, I was a little bit stupid here, which I noticed during editing. It's basically okay. They're making an occult club. It's an occult club where they play shogi. It's maybe a cover for it is that it's a shogi club. I don't know. I'm unsure. It was really a pretty short scene, but yeah, it's not a shogi club. They just played shogi. It's very different, and that also wouldn't explain why they have all seem to have some sort of supernatural power. So anyway, this is in reference to Kaiki and Kaganui and Oshinomeme and their little group they had at college apparently. So yeah, in that kind of way, I don't know. You could see this as kind of like the next generation in a way, kind of Senjugahara, Hanakawa, Araragi, all these kind of lads getting together. I don't know, a little bit of that in it for sure. But thanks for the comment. Next comment here from Backslash. For me, Bake Kizu Nisei, I've seen so many times they've become like the tutorial arc in an RPG. I'm very happy you're getting to the media parts of the series after being introduced to everyone finally. I've enjoyed your reactions so far and plan to continue them. Also, I just noticed the Kaguya manga in the background. Yeah, it's been there the whole time. And yeah, I just bought them off Amazon. So if you guys want to buy them, I bought them off Amazon and I'm in Australia. So they should be pretty accessible to you guys, I would think, considering Australia's always missing stuff because we're awesome. But yeah, if that's the tutorial, that's a pretty hard tutorial. I had to kind of focus in a lot, especially that last episode. Very philosophical, I thought. And yeah, it's taking me on some trips for sure. So I don't know if the tutorial kind of analogy works. If it gets a whole lot more complex than this, I think we may be in a little trouble, but I will tackle it with gusto regardless. Thank you for the comment, Backslash. Next comment here by G Bird. Cool little detail IMO. In the novel, Araragi asks Kaiki to give him one thing inside the wallet back, as he probably wouldn't be able to ask for the whole wallet. That thing is a photo of Senjo, which he hands off with no resistance. Araragi comments internally that it's surprising he didn't try to bargain for it, basically saying she's worthless to him now. Interesting. I wonder why they cut that little scene. I thought that would have been quite interesting considering the kind of Kaiki Senjugahara previous relationship that they've set up in a way. I don't know, we'll talk continually a little bit more about this Kaiki Araragi dynamic and how it's actually kind of interesting. And I probably didn't give it the credit it deserved when it first showed up. So we will see. Potentially Senjugahara has a type. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. Next comment here by Jaramero435. I really like the resolution of this arc. It is one of them I always think of when rewatching the show. The show bringing up the three different perspectives on real versus fake is really thought provoking, and there really isn't a 100% right answer. I also love that it ends up with Araragi sharing the same view as Kaiki, the man he hates. And it seems like Kaiki is the one who saves him, since Kaganui only backs down once she contemplates Kaiki's thoughts. Subsequently, I also think Kaiki is the one that put him in danger, because he told Kaganui about the sister, about Tsukihi. Anyway, Kaiki's a weird one, for sure. So in a way he saved, in a way he put him in danger, who's the fake? And it's so much. Thank you for the comment, Jaramera. Next comment here by Benjamin Lee. Great reaction as always, loved it. Thank you. Since the last episode, there were comments talking about Ononoki Yotsugi and Kaganui Yozuru's last name and how they are tied to trigonometry functions. I'd like to talk about Ononoki's first name, which uses the kanji characters that translates to an axe for a tree, which is fitting since she effectively chops Araragi Tsukihi in half like an axe would do a tree. Now I'm thinking this in kind of context with the Araragi sapling stuff as well, which is kind of fascinating. We'll see where that goes. Now, the Chinese philosophy bit at the end really gave me flashbacks to my philosophy classes when I was in China. Mencius believed that humans are born fundamentally good, as all evil deeds have a cause behind it, or a motive, if you will. And these motives can be attributed to environmental influence, whether it be upbringing or misfortune that twists one's worldview. One is not born to wish to rob banks or mass murder, thus the philosophy of fundamental good. We can say that Kaganui subscribes to this belief, as supernaturals are naturally outside the influence of human actions and the philosophy of fundamental good, the influence that steer humans away from their fundamental evil. On the other hand, the concept of fundamental evil is brought up by Zunzi, I can't speak Mandarin, who believed that since the concept and definition of good deeds and virtuous acts are intrinsically a societal construct, thus not something humans are born with, whereas it is human nature to pursue after desires, the desires for wealth that lead to the evil act of robbing a bank or the desire for harm that leads to the evil act of mass murder can be attributed to environmental influence, but the will to enact these desires is a fundamental part of human nature. Thus, the philosophy of fundamental evil. Now, a key thing to realize that while Zunzi labeled the pursuit of desires as evil, the connotation of such is not inherently negative per se, as desire by itself cannot be labeled as good or bad. However, the pursuit of one's own desires are, by nature, selfish, and being controlled by these desires can be described as animalistic and destructive, thus evil. Zunzi's belief was further elaborated by introducing the idea that virtuous acts and good deeds are fundamentally a representation of controlling and suppressing one's fundamental evil, that is, selfish desires, thus, in a sense, fake, as it is contrary to human nature. In this sense, it is believed that we commend good and virtuous deeds because it shows that there's a will and agency to enact these virtuous actions. This is what Kaiki believes in. The will to imitate good is more valuable than inherently good. Now, that was really long, but it was very interesting, and I think it breaks down a lot of kind of their philosophies a little bit more. And I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards Kaiki's. The choice to be good is way more interesting. The choice to be a fake, the choice to not be controlled by your human desires. And it's very interesting that Araragi makes the same deduction at the end of Monogatari. It's more interesting and more better, for lack of a better word, that Tsukihi is a fake. That makes her, you know, that she's trying to imitate his good deeds despite not even being human. Does that make any sense? Like, that's inherently more interesting and more respectable. It's not in your nature to act like this, thus, but you're still trying to. It's all about effort, right? Lots to chew on there, and something we should take forward into the series going forward. Again, the vocabulary isn't working today. I probably need to wait for the coffee to kick in. Anyway, thank you for the comment, Benjamin. Next comment here by Fats. Congrats on your first bot comment, man. You've really made it. Thanks, it was an honor. Anyway, needlessly long note time. For starters, I love the fact that Kaiki lied to Araragi about only knowing of Kaganui and Yotsugi's names when he literally went to university with Kaganui. Like, he had absolutely zero reason to lie about it, but he just does it because he's a dick. Well, he kind of didn't want to link Kaganui to himself, if that makes any sense. Because maybe they'll try to drag him into the whole situation. I don't know, there's some justification there, but at the end of the day, Kaganui just spilled the beans anyway, so bit of egg on his face for sure. Not that he really cares. Love your point about Araragi being more similar to Kaiki than one might expect. A standout line from the introduction in episode 3. I suppose if I'm a dead tree, then you must be a sapling. Araragi also makes that terrifyingly similar comment to Kaiki's philosophy about Karen and Tsukihi at the end of Karen B, saying that fakes, but because of that, closer to anything than the real thing. I kind of love the idea that Kaiki is like a bad ending Araragi who never met Hanakawa and kept the whole I don't need friends outlook. Interesting point there. I definitely think that's a poignant line in episode 3 for sure. Kind of, I'm a dead tree. I'm a sapling that has grown up and kind of not fulfilled my potential in a way, right? Or I'm already kind of not the way that I'm supposed to be. Dead in a sense, right? You have the chance to go many different routes. You may end up like a dead tree at some point. And yeah, we can link that into the end of Karen B, of course, which you say fakes, but because of that, closer to the real thing. Great, love that. I also think fakes is a way better word than imposter, which we were using before. I think fakes fits better. So that subtrack is definitely working, I think. He continues here. The philosophy is really damn interesting to me. As the real thing, you obviously don't need to make any effort to be what you are, but as a fake, you must make a continued effort to act as though you are the real thing. Applying this to Karen and Tsukihi, Karen obviously doesn't need to make any effort at all to assimilate herself into her own family, but Tsukihi likely does. Even if she doesn't know consciously that she's an oddity, we're still well aware that oddities and humans don't exactly get along naturally. You're an outsider to a group, and you try really, really, really hard to conform, is way better than somebody that's naturally in a group and can conform naturally. Yeah, okay. I'm starting to get it a lot more. We can apply that to Karen as well. Uh, there's people that are naturally pursue this justice with pure selfless notions and all that kind of thing, right? But Karen isn't like that, but she's still trying to be. She's still trying to be all things to everyone, and that's really cool and that's commendable. And Araragi talking down on that initially is interesting as well as a view into himself. Yeah. Very interesting stuff. Lots to talk about from Nisei for sure. Next comment here by Matt. Tsukihi's scar and its origin was mentioned by Araragi in the big text wall back in episode 4. As a reminder, yeah, she was a second grader and kind of jumped from something to save Karen in a way. Either way, she got a pretty prominent scar. In hindsight, it's a pretty noticeable clue that something is very odd about Tsukihi. I imagine we'll never see the sisters' boyfriends because they don't exist in Araragi's head, much like the characters in the world outside of Araragi's kind of viewpoint. But since this is Monogatari, there are fan theories. One theory is based on the Japanese wordplay, implies that Karen's boyfriend is actually Tsukihi, vice versa, the Yuri route. Interesting one, for sure. I'm sure the fans love that one. The other theory is based on a small light novel detail and implies that both the sisters' boyfriends are actually Araragi. This one isn't surprising either, considering kind of its harem qualities. On a slightly more serious note, to answer your question about why Nisio Sin would introduce new characters when he thought the series was coming to an end, the answer is he already had a change of heart by the time he finished writing Nekomonogatari. The series was gaining in popularity, and Isin himself said it was extremely fun writing these characters. The closing paragraph of the light novel afterward reads, "One more thing. For all of this book's insistence on being the final chapter, I must confess that I've decided to write about 2 more episodes. I hope those of you who would like to learn more about Mayoi Hachikuji and Tsubasa Hanakawa will keep me company. Now, how many of you might there be?" Interesting, especially considering the name of this portion of the story, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But thanks for the comment, Matt. Next comment here by Dharma Mansya. Congrats on finishing Nisei, one of the weakest parts for sure, but there's still a lot more to explore. It's probably the weakest so far, I'll probably stand by that, but that's only talking to the quality of the rest of the series. So I'd still probably give this like an 8 out of 10. It was really good. It ended really strongly as well. I really love the end of Tsukihi Phoenix. I thought it was one of the highlights of the series so far. So yeah, lots to like. Definitely has its badder points, but we've discussed those at length, so it's still really good. I'm really enjoying myself, and if that's the worst we get, then hell yeah, let's charge forward. Next comment here by Simon. Kaki's philosophy, which I adhere, fake is more valuable than the real thing because he is trying to be the real thing. By your own efforts, you prove your value. With humans like Yozuru, who needs monsters anyway, and Oshino, who stopped 3 vampire hunters by himself, some shogi club enthusiasts. Yes, for sure, just a shogi club. Just imagining what would happen to Tsukihi after she found out about her immortality. She would lose her normality. You are living in fear of what everyone else will find out, and even if nobody is going to find out, the fear is not going to disappear. You're going to grow attached to your environment, losing even your perception of it is going to be painful. Very interesting. I like that from the perspective of our own fear of people finding out. But again, why would she be afraid of that? She would just, if they tried to kill her, she wouldn't, like, die. It's an interesting one, right? Because what's going on in her head, what would change if she knew about it? Would she stop giving as much effort? We've talked a lot about immortality and what it means and that kind of thing, so maybe it would happen, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know if we're going to find out, but anyway, we'll see. Having meta-knowledge about author and history of creation can change some of the perception of work a lot, which I'm not going to tell yet. I'm just going to reinforce your knowledge that thus far, Nisio Sin wanted to end the story on Kizumonogatari, telling what is the end point of every character and what there's nothing more to tell. Then he did Nisemonogatari just for giggles, then the anime happened, he found out more things what he wanted to tell, and he decided to continue. Meta question is going to be, everything after Kizu was not in consideration, then the story was created at first. How much of the story was thought through going forward? Well, I think that's just a natural evolution, and we have to trust in the author like that, right? Not everybody has every detail of every story that they want to write in their head in detail from the start. That's just not how it works. That's not how writing works. You do have an end point you want to end up at for sure, but and an overall point definitely. But the certain events that get to that point, I don't think he would have had all that figured out, even if he knew about the popularity of the series. So I don't know. It's a tough one. We'll try to think about it in context, watching these next few steps to see if they jump the shark a little bit. But anyway, thanks for the comment, Simon. Next comment here by Gian Bueno. I really like Kaganui's character in this arc, as she is there as a hypocritical force, not only about forcing ideals, but if you pay attention to Kaganui and Ononoki, they're basically a mirror of Karen and Tsukihi, a pair of sisters with a hot-headed martial artist with a strong sense of justice of what is right and who thinks that they have to enforce their worldview even if they need to use violence to do so, and an immortal fake human little sister that is just in for the ride, following every step of their strong-willed companion. Everything Yozuru says about Tsukihi and her impact on their family could also be applied to Ononoki and herself. Also, if we follow the pattern of oddities just being physical representations of one's psychological problems, Hitaki not wanting to shoulder the bad emotions she felt towards her mum, Araragi's desire of not wanting to get back home being Hachikuji, Nadeko's hatred of her own body being a snake, Hanekawa's stress being a cat, Kambara's jealousy being the pawn, Karen not having the conviction of hers and having to find it on others being the bee sting, etc. Then I've got a whole theory about the one infecting the Shiden no Tori being Araragi's mum. I'd like to think that Tsukihi represents the way that she found to cope with the stillbirth of one of her children. Having seen this happen to my own mother and her spiritual journey and conversion to spiritism, because of it, I think it's pretty plausible. In saying this, I wonder if we'll ever see the mum, right? I think it'd be very interesting to see what she thought about the whole situation and get her opinions, and maybe Araragi might tell her about immortality and that kind of thing. I don't even know if she's involved in the occult, probably not. But yeah, it's interesting that you've put your own story in there, and I think that stories like this are great for that, for kind of inputting your own personal experience into your own canon about what you believe. It can really help like enrich and enhance a text for you. So I'm all for the fan theories and that kind of thing. I think they're really cool. And just a final consideration from the novel is explaining Tsukihi's regen. The strength of her regeneration depends on the amount of damage she takes. Yotsugi's attack was much more than lethal, as it quite literally blew the top half of her to smithereens, so the healing acted pretty fast, just like an adrenaline rush. She is, after all, an aberration living among humans, so not healing everything instantly helps with people not thinking something's off about her. Thank God the ecchi will now be toned down for the remainder of the series. See you in Nekomonogatari Kuro. Well, I'm here. And yeah, so I don't know how much Tsukihi's going to be involved anymore, but it'd be interesting to see if kind of Araragi abuses this going forward. I don't know. Lots of ways we could take the story for sure. It's very open at this point. And the last comment here by Kramer. Neko next. I think you can predict it easily. Yeah, so I will talk about this. I'm tired of seeing most fans think Nisei is one of the weakest arcs. Literally no. We get Kaiki, Shinobu, Fire Sisters, amazing comedy, interesting themes. I'd say Nisei is even better than Bake. I'm a sucker for a beginning chapter and establishing characters, so Bake is still better in my heart. It's probably closer to Kizu in that regard. Kizu's got its advantages and disadvantages, mostly in the production department, but again, we'll talk about all of this overall a little bit more once I've finished the series. From here on out, it will be useful to keep timeline of events because knowing when each arc is happening in relation to the others is going to be important. Noted, I've got my kind of notepad file here that I'm using, so I'll try to keep up. Second version of opening theme is amazing, feels like you're in an opera show. I'm imagining that was kind of the orchestral version. Yeah, it was very good. Of course, Kaiki informed Kaganui he probably needed some cash and sold her the information, and then he informed Araragi about them for cash. The little salesman really knows how to make money. A good conman knows how to play both sides. Yes, you can kind of see this as Kaiki's revenge in a lot of ways for what happened in Karen B. Very interesting, where he was kind of playing both sides there as well. Did you realize that Tsukihi is wearing a yukata because she used to do so from her previous lives? Very interesting. That's a great little detail. Kind of wearing traditional Japanese clothes because in a previous life that would have been what they would have worn. And maybe she got attached to it subconsciously. Interesting. One thing that was very funny to me, does the fact that Koyomi doesn't feel anything when kissing Tsukihi prove that she is his sister, but what about Karen after the toothbrush scene? Did they kiss? I think they kissed, maybe? Anyway, I forget. I'm not going to rewatch the toothbrush scene to find out either. Kaganui was physically fit enough to beat 3 to 4 vampires with mere brute strength, because in the book there's a line where she comments about disliking using magic tricks as weapons. She's a simple lady. Yeah, she uses the fists. She's pretty badass in that regard. After confrontation with Kaiki, Senjukahara became so overbearingly lovey-dovey towards Kiyomi, or Koyomi I should say, that it started to interfere with his summer studies, so Hanakawa had to send her out of town. I don't know where any evidence for this is, but sure. Oddities in their existence in Monogatari are pretty volatile. They heavily depend on the people's perceptions and observations of them, mostly by people close to them. So as long as Araragi sees Tsukihi as his real sister, even if she's fake, she would just be his little sister, and probably more real than the real thing, and the oddity inside her wouldn't be such a big deal. So seeing Kaganui conclude she's lost the argument, that's how I see why our antagonists decide to back off. So because Araragi's perception of his sister as a little sister is such, they can't do anything because it, it's very complicated, but I get what you're saying for sure. Thanks for the comment there, Kramer. That's the end of the comments there, so just a small recap of last week. It's going to be very quick and off the top of my head because I don't think much of it's going to be relevant going forward, but we'll see. Shinobu and Araragi go to get donuts. They meet up with Kaiki. Kaiki says some stuff about what Kaganui and Ononoki actually are. Then they go back home and see that they've kind of, they're staking out the house. Tsukihi opens the door, gets her whole body smashed in. Araragi goes kind of mad before Tsukihi regenerates. We learn that she's immortal. We get a bunch of stuff about the kind of cuckoo and how that relates to the phoenix and how that's kind of the oddity that's kind of infested Aragi's mother in a way, right? And she's the result. She is an oddity, she's not human. This doesn't affect Araragi at all, nor Karen. Well, Karen doesn't really know, but she still says that she would die for Tsukihi without any hesitance, so that's very important. We go off to the cram school to face Kaganui and Ononoki. We get into various fights, both on a philosophical level as well as kind of a, physical level. Araragi loses his fight, but Shinobu wins hers, and yeah, Ononoki gets beaten up. Then Araragi wins the philosophical side of the argument, and kind of comes out with the I don't care that she's a fake, I'll cover for her, I'll do all this stuff because we're family, fakes are more interesting than the real thing, all this philosophy coming back. Kaganui backs off, mostly because, I don't know, it's more of a philosophical win than anything else, because she could absolutely continue to beat up Araragi. Anyway, it ends. Araragi says to introduce kind of Tsukihi to Senjogahara, and that's where we end off. And yeah, this next arc is called Nekomonogatari Kuro, so I'm unsure if any of this will be relevant going forward. So, speaking of it, what do I know about Nekomonogatari Kuro? Not much outside of its name, really, but we'll go into some stuff. So one, I was just on Mal, and this technically came out before Monogatari, because Monogatari is winter 2012, and then this came out in fall 2012. Am I wrong in that regard? Is there some kind of stuff up on Mal? If not, then that's a bit weird. This most certainly puts this chapter chronologically before Nisei. Maybe it's chronological because I have to watch it after because it takes place after Nisei, and there was just some weird production stuff. It's only 4 episodes, so it's basically just one arc, I think. And it's called Nekomonogatari Kuro, so yeah, Hanakawa. I've kind of been dancing around it, but yeah, Hanakawa. Kuro means black, Neko means cat, black Hanakawa. It makes sense. To reinforce this, the key visual I'll put up here somewhere. Yep, that is definitely Hanakawa. Her skirt's being blown up in the wind. Very awesome. There's a cat in the background. It looks like they're back at school because she's in uniform, and this looks like the roof of the school. And yeah, it just says Nekomonogatari Black. So now, of course, I don't have confirmation for this because I've gone through the rest of the series and taken away the arc titles, which is very cool. We can stop an arc and start an arc at any point. It'll be great. Anyway, just some general predictions before jumping into episode 1 here. Predictions, it's about Hanakawa. She hasn't really been present lately in the story, so she might be up to some stuff. It may cover what Hanakawa's been doing during the summer break, maybe. We haven't really gotten much stuff with her, so maybe. She's kind of been really secretive and kind of off in her own world, but that could also speak to the end of Bake and continuing from there and what she would think at that point. I don't know, it's a bit weird. Alright, then we think about the word black. Is Black Hanakawa on the loose somewhere, which is actually the Hanakawa with the white ears, and that speaks to the contrast between the suppressed emotions and the actual emotions and all this other kind of stuff. We didn't really solve the whole Black Hanakawa thing at the end of Bakemonogatari, so there's definitely more to explore there. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll see, I guess. Considering their closeness, I would consider a similar production style to Monogatari and by extension Bakemonogatari present here, so no big sweeping changes like Kizu. And will other characters get involved? Will Senjo Gahara be involved? Will, I don't know, any of the other girls really? We'll see. Or maybe it's just a Hanakawa romp. Anyway, it's time to jump into the first episode of Nekomonogatari Kuro. But before that, I'm going to do my shill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like to follow me back. And the Discord. The Discord is in the description. There'll be a link. Please click on it. It'll be sick. We're doing lots of fun stuff in there, lots of conversations and that kind of thing. So if you want to talk, there's a place to talk. Anyway, time to jump into the first episode of Nekomonogatari Kuro. Rightio, got the first episode up here ready to go. There'll be a picture-in-picture in the description, of course. Let me pop that up on screen. 26 minutes and 15 seconds on this episode, so... Oh yeah, and I'm still using Call Girls. And yeah, I'm just going to give it a 3, 2, 1. Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. There was a bunch of text there that wasn't translated, but sure. I'll get it later. Okay, Tsukihi with long hair. Oh my god. Yeah, but what else? Yeah, you do that a lot. She's demented? Great. Destroy the fourth wall. Good old yanderes. Everyone loves yanderes. Golden Week starts today. Oh. Oh. Okay, so it's definitely not the next year, right? Let's talk about love? Okay. Interesting. I think this is why you guys were talking about the timeline stuff, right? This is beautiful already. Okay. Different vibes. Kind of like this soft rock thing. And there she is. Okay, if we're in Golden Week, then we're in Golden Week, and that explains the title a lot. So we only got those weird flashbacks in Buckhead, right? Oh, the guitar. Okay. I feel like I've seen this shot before. Lots of sun and moon as well. Geometric shapes. Record player? I've never really associated Hanaka with music before, but sure. Does she want to pursue music? And then this is very Kizu. Righto. Okay. Tsubasa family. Oh, that's bad. Okay, we're gonna talk about love. Yes. Why are you the only one? Which girl? Okay. It's a bombshell for me too. Was that like light novel cover? I don't like that face. Okay, it's very quick. Interesting question. Something I'm sure you've struggled with. What are these poses? You just do. Interesting. Stop doing the meta thing. Caesar. Yeah, explain everything. Oh, okay. Yep, there's H, son. That's her. Yeah, that's love, big dog. But that's not how we understand his relationship with Hanako at this point. Huh. Yeah, you're in love. Sexy, beautiful girl. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. It's my understanding of it anyway. It's a bit of a nebulous concept for sure. Rosokuzawa. Just the name, not what he looks like. Great. Oh, the head tilts too. Hmm. Yeah. That's generally how it goes for somebody that doesn't think as much as Araragi, I think. Nantonaku? Hmm. And maybe he just knew when he loved Senjugahara, when he met Senjugahara. Rich. Lies? Hmm. Feels like you're creating a rocket. Well, we kind of know how this goes, right? Yeah, it's all this hesitance, right? She's got some awful faces this episode, for sure. You've decided? It's interesting knowing what we know about Tsukihi now, that he's trying to reflect emotions off of her. Okay. Yeah, it really is normal. Yep, extremely normal. Extremely normal. Well, maybe not as normal. I mean, that's normal as well, but there's polite society. Oh, I'm not sure that she's going to get much out of this conversation. It is natural. I mean, what other words do you want him to use? Touch? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Look at the hands go. We're very much talking to this separation of love and lust, right? Why is she telling him this? I mean, this isn't as shocking because I've literally seen this happen before. Hold her up by okay, listen. Yeah, that's my understanding of that whole phenomenon as well, is that it hurts quite a bit. Boobs advisory? She needs her stick back. Interesting. But that's not how it went because he's a, syscon type operator. Yep, he probably is. Yeah, maybe you should just go buy the Dirty Mag, man. Inflationary spiral. 007 phenomenon? No, that's not the only reason. Sure. Sonotori. I don't think that's it either. Are we forgetting the whole other side of it, which is I want to see her everywhere and I look for her and I think about her all the time? Didn't we literally do the boob grab Hanakawa thing like in Kizu as well? Yeah, they are meant to be, yes. Pretty good line. I agree. Or, maybe ask H-Sun out. Maybe she's interested as well. I wonder if Tsukihi ever finds out who H-Sun is, especially considering they now know each other. Okay, go buy some porn. Wait, last time we went to buy porn, some bad stuff happened. So maybe don't do that. Hello, Karen. She's sweating, is she? Oh God, what the fuck? I don't like that at all. I hate this. Go have a shower. Go have a shower. Oh my God, how disgusting. Yes. So the fan service stopped, right, guys? Right? Well, not stopped. You know my wording though. Well, it was like that like Olympics fit. Oh, interesting. Okay. Because there was the Olympic torch whole thing in Kizu as well. Stop. Stop. Bro, it's the ones that catch me off guard that I hate more. Mm. I don't think that's it, no. Could you put on like a shirt first? I'm not sure Araragi can relate to that as much, but sure. It's a pretty basic definition. I kind of like Tsukihi's a little bit better. Yes, hello Hanakoa. Please bring some semblance of, sophistication to this episode. Uh, ooh. Oh yeah, I remember the bandage. We've literally seen her during Thingo before. Isn't that one of the flashbacks during Tsubasa Cat? Was to this point in time where she finds the cat. And then yeah, okay. Alright, alright. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. That's like the key visual though. Yep, yep. I mean that's literally one of the first shots of the series, so. Oh, and she's wearing black today. That's interesting. You're kind enough to look at my panties. Yeah, there's that word ski. Meow. Yeah, this is like Bake, but it's like a nicer day. Yes, two little sisters. I don't really need. Okay. I like that he comes out on the other side near Monogatari, thinking a little bit differently. I wonder how. Yeah, family, huh? Yeah. Oh, and the English word. Hmm. Nah, like literally. Yeah. Yes, we've been through this complicated family tree before. Yeah, stuff we know. Excuse me? Hmm. I don't think they tried their best with you, though. Very interesting coming right after Nisse. Hmm. Kazoku. Is this just a reshot of one of the scenes we've seen previously? Yeah, essentially. No, but again, no, don't victim blame yourself. You can't do that. Where's this small cat? Makes you even worse. Ah, that's a lie. Hmm. Trying so hard to protect this family that she doesn't even like. Oh, do anything? Stop. Maybe be a little bit more serious, man. I don't know. Uh, later. Ha 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 ha. Fourth wall. Ha ha ha. What are these like? We're very much back to the Bake stuff. Just like text on screen for 2 seconds. Yeah, no, he flipped the switch. Bro, this guy just needs to go like into his room, just go J off, and then come back. That's all he needs to do. Stop. I agree. Stop being so horny. There's literally no one around in your own mind. Into the nearby bushes. You're literally in the same place as before. Teleports behind you. Eye rape. Ayo. Okay. You're weird. Oh, new ED. Okay. Now let's focus on the new ED. I love the melody of this song already. The vocal melody is really cool. Araragi on the kind of bike falling over and over again. Now we've got houses on a conveyor belt falling down on top of Araragi or Araragi's. And then it's like a claw machine. Okay. And the bike's getting like reconstructed. Cat girl. Rightio. Bit of a next time on, perhaps. Oh no, still more. Yeah, but I mean, you also got some kind of sexual gratification out of it for sure. But anyway, sure, you were a nice guy. Oh, use the safety pin. Okay, you didn't literally lick her face. Okay, no, no, all right, all is forgiven. Huh? They wouldn't care. Hmm. Yeah, just walk down the stairs on my hands. Now I got some other shit to think about. What kind of frustration? And then yeah, the scales, and then wait, huh? Okay. Cryptobiosis? Radio gonna jump into a bit of analysis on Nekomonogatari Kuro Episode 1. That episode was okay. It was maybe straight up bad at some points. I think the production is noticeably worse again, which is interesting. Just any clarification on where this is kind of in the production timeline, in the owl kind of world timeline as well. That would be interesting. Yeah, just I don't know, very simple shots, very simple backgrounds. Some of the animations a little bit wonky. Some of the faces are very weird looking. I went through a lot of content that I think I've seen before, which is kind of the end stuff with Hanakawa. I've already seen that. I saw that play out in a better version of that scene, essentially. Or is that a different scene that's also the same scene? Interesting. The same scene where we find out about her family situation and that her dad's abusive and that it's also by the coast. And at the end of that scene, they find the cat, and then that's where that starts. And that was in Tsubasa Cat. So is this just the same scene again? Because I've seen that one, and it was better before. I don't know. And then we had the first kind of talk with kind of Tsukihi. And she was quite funny in the scene. I thought that was quite good. Araragi had his moments too. He's still clearly very horny. I don't know why people said this one was less horny than Nisemonogatari. It is arguably worse than a lot of the episodes, especially the sweat stuff. That's probably one of the most disgusting things I've seen thus far. Why was she just shirtless? I don't understand. So yeah, I'm actually thinking about giving it another episode because I want to see where we're actually going with this, what we're actually trying to say, right? I guess I'll see how much time I have left today. If I don't have time, I don't have time. But there's just not a lot here. I guess I can look at the opening, ending, and read all the text and that kind of thing. But I think it got a lot of what I wanted to say out during kind of the episode itself. Anyway, I'll pop it up here. This is the first kind of big text screen of the episode, so I'll read this. And yeah, I guess I'll see by the end if I want to do another one. Alright, so this is the text. I have finally decided to recall the events of that golden week, that time when I fooled around with Hanakawa Tsubasa to my heart's content. Okay, a bit of confirmation there of our time period. This is during Golden Week, if they didn't make that abruptly obvious through the dialogue itself. And this is why you guys were telling me about the timeline, because it would not make much sense if you thought this was after Nisei. It'd be like, huh? What? And I guess people could fall for that, right? Because they are watching subbed, they could miss just one sub and then be super confused. Also, in that respect, we kind of ended Nise Monogatari kind of itself with the sisters. Now we're starting up with the sisters again, so it kind of feels like a continuation, even if it isn't. We haven't had all the development that the sisters have gotten at this point, which is also a little bit weird. I don't know why this is here in the watch order. I guess I'll find out, but I think it's a little bit of a misstep to have all the development with the sisters and then immediately the next chapter. No, we're back to square one. I don't know. Continuing on with the text here. It's a bittersweet memory, an astringent memory, and yet a memory that is somewhat sweet and sour. But it is a memory that I want to forget if possible, and even if that were not possible, I want to act as if those events never happened. Those 9 golden days are the days I shall recall. To put this in chronological context, it was approximately 1 month after the 2 weeks of spring break between my second and third years of high school, the time I spent in hell. So, to put this in chronological context, it was approximately 1 month after the 2 weeks of spring break. So, after your spring break, after the paradigm shift, after Kizumonogatari essentially, right? Kizumonogatari's spring break, right? 1 month after that is Golden Week. Okay. That was when she was drawn in by a cat, a mammal of the family Felidae in the order of Carnivora. And so, ever since Golden Week, I have been unable to stand cats. I'm afraid of cats. Yes, just like how I'm afraid of Hanakawa Tsubasa. Now I'd like you to hear about the dream I had last night. Afraid is a very interesting word there. And what is this dream last night? I guess we'll say. And here we are, Saturday morning, the 29th of April. This is during Golden Week, 1 month after March. Okay, this is all starting to make sense. I think I remember a lot of March in Kizu. It all happened over like a few days there. Oh yeah, and then okay, we open this scene with Tsukihi walking in with kind of the crowbar to wake him up, and then she references how her character has changed a lot from her normal character, probably the character that we've seen in Nisei. I don't know, it just kind of lampshades the abruptness of it all, I guess. So yeah, she's gonna hit him in the head with this, but thankfully she does miss. The way I understand Golden Week is it's basically like he says 9 days, but it's basically a week off from school and that kind of thing. It's like a mini holiday, right? That's why none of them are going to school. And then we get the introduction. Let's talk about love Tsukihi-chan. And they proceed to do so for, I'm going to say, like 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I'll reread it, of course, but the crux of Tsukihi's argument is that, well, you don't know if you're in love. You know. You just know. If you're even questioning it, then it's probably not love you're feeling. And I think when thinking about Hanakawa, if he's showing this hesitance, then it's a different feeling, right? That's kind of Tsukihi's argument to Araragi. But then what he describes is when he's thinking about her all the time, that's what I would describe as love as well. Interesting, okay. But if he doesn't know, then he doesn't know, you know? And when with Senjogahara, he just knew. That was over like a day or 2 days that that whole caper happened. So he just knew. He didn't need a month thinking about it. He just knew. Cool. And then we jump into the opening, which I'll have a quick look at. It seems to use a lot of similar thematic elements to Hanakawa's other opening, perhaps less in a sexual light, which is, you know, a first for Monogatari. Anyway, let's talk about it a little bit, shall we? And I'll read the lyrics, of course. So the moon, and then we get the guitar kind of silhouette kind of cutting in. She has a guitar on her back for a lot of this opening. There's a lot of musical elements as well, which is a new thing for Hanakawa. We haven't known about her musical endeavors yet, if at all. How does this inform her strictness when it comes to academics? Is she perhaps being forced into academics by some other societal factor as opposed to being pursuing her passion, which is music? We've definitely seen that story before. I'm wondering if it's replicated here. Inside the darkness, my love softly blossomed, like a flower for the first time. In the darkness. In Kizu? While you were alone? What is in the darkness in that context? There's a little flash of the guitar there as she's kind of, I'm guessing, on a train or a bus. Like it's eking into her mind a little bit. I'm sure you don't know about it in reference to the love. So, kind of, you know, unrequited, hidden feelings. Yeah, all stuff we know about Hanakawa for sure. You held out your hand to me. The subbing was really good there, how it changed from black to white as well. Although I found no strength to take it. What was that first line again? You held out your hand to me, but I had no strength to take it. Interesting. Against all of these like kind of promises, is she kind of on her way back home at this point? Or is this like a maybe they're not? Maybe they're bookmarkers, right? Where you put it in when you finish a chapter to keep your spot. Books with your life and bookmark of your hearts. Okay. I want you to hold it out to me just a while longer in reference to the hand. The backgrounds here are really nice though. That is my ray of light in the darkness. Then we kind of pan up to, we got this kind of celestial body thing going on as well. Moon and sun. White, black, Hanakawa, maybe? Had the triangles. We had a lot of triangles in her first opening. Makes up a sandwich. She's wearing headphones. I've never seen her wear headphones before. I'm also reading a book. And then that kind of moon turns into a record called Perfect Slumbers, which I'm imagining is the name of the song by Megrock, maybe? I don't want to know the future of my love just yet. So I don't want the answer to your confession. I don't want to grab that hand quite yet, but I want you to keep it open for me. I'm not quite ready, but I may be at some point. Of course, we know how tragically this ends up going. There's a little bit of like classic country stuff, like lone person walking along, just the guitar on their back, nowhere to go, like a real drifter. Kind of cool vibe for the opening. Oh, and then we got another circle there, so the moon from the sky drifted down and turned into, I'm guessing, what's the hole in the guitar called? Whatever that's called. And again, we got another very quick one there. The strings of the guitar turn into these flowers, which I'm unsure what the flower is, but again, very Kizumonogatari vibes. See him kind of bowing down to Hanakawa, apologizing maybe. And I think that's the end of the opening. That opening's really great. It's kind of understated, and I love the song like a lot. You don't need to be big and flashy all the time. I love a good soft rock song sometimes too. So yeah, that was great. And that's the name of the arc, Tsubasa Family. Episode Forbidden. Okay. And then yeah, we're into this conversation where I'm probably gonna skip through a lot of it. A lot of it's very self-explanatory. So he starts off, I might have feelings for this girl that's in my class now after the reshuffle. H-san, who is Hanakawa. Well, at least heavily implied to be Hanakawa, and it'd be kind of a twist if it wasn't. Okay. Tsukihi is surprised at this fact because, of course, she is. Like, Araragi's pretty gloomy. Him being interested in anybody is a huge step. I don't know what this is, but sure. Looks like a parody of some kind. Maybe a cheesy light novel slash manga that I'm missing the reference on. That's usually the stuff you spout, but you actually fell for someone. Is that in reference to the having friends makes you less human, love isn't real, I'm a real edgy teenager type operator? They do kind of these weird poses when talking to each other, which at least makes the scene kind of interesting. Uh, Kind of sibling esque, where you just do like weird shit in front of your siblings with no judgment because they're your siblings and you don't care what they think, or you don't think that they would care if you did something weird. You know what that means? It's like a closeness. It demonstrates a bit of like, you know, uh, rapport with somebody. Couldn't think of the word there. There's a lot of this in the episode, kind of lampshading traditional roles in the story and conversations to a meta degree, which is getting a little bit tiresome, I must say, especially when they just do it through the dialogue. Like, yeah, we get it. You know you're in an anime, but could you do something with it now? Something a little bit more interesting? I don't know. Maybe a bit of a weird criticism, but it's grating a little bit. Before I knew it, I couldn't stop thinking about her. He goes through it. When I'm thinking in class, looking at the blackboard, my eyes drift to her. When I'm walking home, I think about her. When I'm at the bookstore, I think about maybe she would like to read this. When I'm, I think about not reading dirty magazines because I think that she would judge me for that. Yeah, these are all kind of signs of love. But again, if he's not sure in that he knows, if he doesn't know, he doesn't know, you know? Anyway, I've said that a number of times now, but that's essentially what Tsukihi's saying. If you knew, you would know. Yeah, this is where she says it. I just knew. That's how it is? Yeah, it is. If you know, you know. Here we see the bit with the nantonaku, which yeah, the translation there is kind of like there's no real reason, it just kind of happened. I'm talking around in circles. She's right, it does. I do like this part from Tsukihi though. You can come up with many other reasons why you like somebody, like they're cool or kind or tall or rich, but like those are just reasons and justifications for why your emotions feel the way they do. Like in that way, okay, traditionally it would be that they're cool, kind, and tall, and because of that, I love them. But this way, they're kind of reversing it in that I love them, and therefore I justify my feelings of love by making up these kind of types that I like. It's like a ladder you climb based on the conclusion that you love them. I need reasons that make up the rungs of the ladder to climb to the top, which is a weird human justification thing to do. Anyway, this is probably the most interesting stuff in the episode for me, so probably drifting on it a little bit too long. When you want to be together forever, then that's love. Huh. Well, I know that he wants to be together forever with Shinobu through some extrapolation of Kizumonogatari. Uh, and he wants to be together forever with Hanakawa because you know, he he like respects Hanakawa deeply, being his savior more than his love. And I know that he wants to be with Senjogahara forever because obviously he does. So you could apply this to a lot of different things. I don't know if that's that clear of a reason. He also uses the word might of there, so he still doesn't know. And then again, this reinforces Tsukihi's point. If you're going to say you might have, then you haven't. You know. When you know, you know. And then we turn into the kind of etchy portion of it where he's like, I want to touch her breasts. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but you don't talk to your little sister about that generally. And then you definitely don't grape her breasts. I like the subversion here where, okay, Tsukihi's plan was to say, okay, grab my breasts. And then he wouldn't. And then he'd be like, that's why you love her, because you only want to grab her breasts. But Araragi's really horny. And he grabs her breasts instead, like immediately. And then kind of like holds her up by them as well, which is strange. And then the conclusion they come to by the end of the scene is that he's sexually frustrated, which duh, he's like 17, of course he is. There's all this stuff about like a ATM kind of thing or something, which is flat, which is a joke later because they use the word touch. Again, a lot of it's going over my head because I'm guessing Japanese. I don't know what a double O like 007 like phenomenon is occurring in my brain. I don't know what that is. Like he's horny. We get it. Just go jerk off, man. It's not hard. And then this is a reference here. Is this like Ippo or something? Because he's getting punched? I don't know. Maybe that's a reach. I don't really know what it's referencing. I think it's interesting we're bringing up this love versus lust thing again, especially how it relates to Senjogahara's treatment versus the other girls, and blah 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 blah. He finds Hanakawa the most attractive woman in the world, but he isn't dating her. Anyway, there's all this other stuff going on, right? With the whole Hanakawa thing. There's that Senjogahara is really jealous of Hanakawa, really scared of Hanakawa in a romantic sense. You could draw a lot of stuff, is my point. But it seems very random and kind of a weird introduction to this arc, for sure. Anyway, and then he's like, I want to grope my sister's breasts to get off, and then, they don't really oblige. Also, this whole thing about Hanakawa may not like me buying a dirty magazine thing is weird, considering later on. I know, she knows he's horny, right? It's not a secret. I don't think that she would be that devastated if he bought a dirty magazine. Anyway, it's a weird conflict. Oh, I didn't grab this part though. So he left the kind of building initially to go buy a dirty magazine and then ran into Hanakawa. Okay. That's a little bit more plot relevant then. And then the most disgusting scene in the entire show so far plays out. This is worse than the toothbrush stuff, man. I hate the sweat. It's disgusting. Get it off my screen. Yeah, and then I don't know, Karen kind of says, like, you want to have children with this person if you love them. And that's kind of her conclusion. And she's also shirtless. Okay, sure. And then we cut to the next conversation of the episode, basically, which is the Hanakawa one, which we've kind of seen before. So I'll go through it pretty quick again. This is good. We see the eyes kind of glazed over, like we do a lot with Hanakawa when she's hiding something, generally. So she was feeling this way, and then she saw Araragi and her demeanor changed. She is also initially hiding the gauze on her cheek. Like, she's playing it up here, right? She's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. Hey, I'm normal, happy Hanakawa. I've put my mask on. Again, that's why Hanakawa is really fascinating. It's really awesome stuff from her. That's why I think she's really cool. But I've seen this scene before. Like, literally. I've seen almost line for line. They didn't find a cat at the end, but sure. I won't pause on the panties, of course, but they're black. I think that was actually pretty clever. Probably the first and last time I'm going to praise a panty shot like that. You're a kind of good person after flipping up my skirt and doing nothing else. Weird one, again, but sure. Is it that he noticed that she was not feeling great and used that to get her mind off of it? But then they immediately just talk about it anyway? I really don't know. This must be bittersweet for Hanakawa, hearing him talk about his family like this, like, oh yeah, and they're okay, they're alright for sisters, I don't really hate them, but I kinda hate them, we're still family, we're not on bad terms, like, when she has never had anything of the sort. She has no frame of reference for this, she hardly knew her parents from memory, and then has no siblings, of course. The parents that she does have are so far removed from her family, actually, that they might as well just be strangers. It's interesting kind of reversal of the whole found family thing. Like, blood relation isn't a curse, sometimes it's a blessing. Again, we'll review. My mother's husband's second wife is my mother now, and then her new husband is. Yeah, okay. My mother's husband's second wife. That's some levels of removal for sure. And her mother's husband isn't her father. So there's a second marriage, and then when that second father, not her blood father, remarried, that is now her family. Like, one kind of relationship step removed. And then another step removed when her new husband is my father now. Yeah, no wonder. Oh, yeah, I was going to say no wonder she hit him, but she's right. They have no relation to each other. Still doesn't excuse what he did, of course. He's still a piece of shit. I hope he burns in hell. And he does during this arc. He gets put in a freaking hospital, so that's good. But I don't know. Again, we've been through this. We've done this conversation. I don't know why I'm getting surprised by it again. Red is the color of strangers, but I'm also unrelated by blood. If a vampire heard that, he'd laugh his head off. Ha ha ha, head off. And then he wouldn't, in reference to Araragi, I guess. Again, we've seen this whole scene play out before. Hanakawa gets him to kind of say, you won't tell anybody, right? And then he goes, yeah, I won't tell anybody. And then she says it, and then he wants to tell people, because of course he does. There's some good stuff here where they were continuing walking along, but now Araragi has stopped. Like, he's really pissed at what she said. Like, that's some good kind of character direction in the scene. I like how we keep on the wide as well to kind of show their separation now. Like, it stopped him in his tracks, is my point. And I don't like how Hanakawa kind of tries to justify it. Like, no, he's a piece of shit. You can call a spade, right? You don't need to, think about why he did something like that. A spade's a spade. I'll say it again. And then now he's, making his argument, catching up again. He says that it sickened him. Good response, Araragi. We like that. I beg you, Araragi, don't tell anyone. I'll do anything. And then the tone of the scene changes, but we'll talk about that. But it's very interesting how she's so desperate to have this not revealed because it'll split up the family even more potentially. Is that what we're looking at? Very, very sad if that's the case, of course. And then, yeah, I'll do anything if you'll keep quiet. And then he's off and doing all this kind of stuff for way too long, in my opinion. He lets his fantasies run wild. I guess it's pre established that he kind of is sexually frustrated, and maybe that informs some stuff. But again, it's a subversion of where you think the scene's going based on what you've already seen. It's meant to be really funny, but it just comes across as kind of a dick move on Araragi's part. Like, we've seen this scene play out before. We know what's supposed to happen at this point. The cat's supposed to show up, and then it kind of spirals out from there. But that doesn't happen here, and this scene plays out instead. I think that's kind of what we're going for with this kind of repetition of the same scene. As a weird, this is where all this text was. I was exploring the situation of Hanakawa playing a female teacher and accidentally slipped up because he called her Miss Hanakawa. Maybe Hanakawa-san or something. Yeah, he kind of gets turned on by her being like a teacher. That's weird. Yeah, and this is where she lampshades it a little bit. You still remember that we're talking about serious and heavy stuff. Yeah, I remember. It's definitely jarring, but it's meant to be jarring. This is a weird observation, but we kind of had a weird old Hollywood lens on Golden Week during Bake, I remember. He's got a spotlight on him right now. Are we still doing our stage metaphor? What's going on there? How can we reinterpret what we already know about Golden Week through this? Am I grasping at straws because there's nothing to talk about? Maybe. Anyway, there's some stuff to watch. She's definitely interested in music based on the opening, right? Does that get involved here? Maybe? Again, we'll see. I will also say that the spotlight was also the sun, which was also another symbol we saw during the opening. Let's go somewhere quieter, and then they literally just like turn the corner, it looks like. They don't go anywhere really that much more quiet. And then I want to lick the wound. Great. And then I thought he was going to lick her face. We've seen our fair share of face licking in Tatami Galaxy as well, and not exactly a fan. But it doesn't go the way I thought it was going to go. But before that, we're going to jump into the ED, of course, which is, I don't know, are these keys or kind of microscopes, maybe? Kieru Daydream. I don't know what that means, but it's kind of a cat controlling whatever this contraption is, kind of looking at all these different TV screens, which we see here. I don't know what that is on the right, but we see a lot of Araragi riding his bike and it kind of deconstructing and reconstructing, and yeah, it's all very clever. Smile like we know just what's happening. But in the end, we'll still smile like we know what's happening, as though we had told each other beforehand. Go ahead and heave your sigh. I guess it's talking to a level of familiarity with whoever they're talking about. It's kind of in the second person in that regard. Again, it's probably female character to Araragi, like most of these openings and endings have been. But a lot of these endings have been kind of abstract until the very end, so maybe we'll keep an eye on it. Never mind how awkward it'll make you look. I'm still waiting for what you want. Okay, interesting. I noted in the opening we see this conveyor belt of houses kind of crashing to the bottom with Araragi at the kind of base, which is an interesting visual metaphor, kind of a symbol of a family on the rocks falling off, Araragi breaking the fall maybe. Would it be a lie to say you still have time? Do you have the time to listen to me whine? I don't want to be saved. I don't want to be rewarded. I just want to scream so much I could break. And yeah, we see the kind of wheel of the bike is replaced with his head. Pretty clever stuff there. And yeah, there's these cats watching through these screens focused on Araragi. Okay. Is this inside Hanakawa's mind, maybe? I've always been wishing. A bittersweet interference. Above the horizon I touched. Like these celestial bodies. A disappearing daydream. Oh, this is Kieru Daydream. Okay. And then that's it, I think. Okay. And then we have the post-credits scene. I thought the song for that ED was decent, and the execution's pretty good. I could use it with a bit more color, but, you know, it's meant to be black and white as well. Black and white, get it? And yeah, onto the kind of the post-credits scene here. I should note that I'm a coward and don't actually have the courage to lick Hanakawa's face, much like kind of Kizumonogatari where he says, I'm going to fondle your boobs, and it was all in his head. So I used a safety pin on her bag to prick my finger and apply some blood to Hanakawa's wound, kind of healing her in the process. Okay. My parents wouldn't even be suspicious if I didn't have my gauze on my face. Very sad, for sure. They wouldn't even take note. They wouldn't even take note if I shaved my head. Your family situation sucks. And it seems like you're oppressing it, for sure. Which leads to the cat, and anyway, for sure. I think we know what's going to happen at some point. Or maybe they're going to flip it on its head, I don't know. They kind of preface the whole arc with Araragi's like, I want to forget what happened here. I want everybody to forget what happened here. It's made everything worse. Yeah, again, Araragi's disinterested in his sisters now. He's a bit more depressed at the whole thing. He didn't, buy anything from the shops that he supposedly went to shop to. My feelings, my thoughts, and everything weighed down on me. I wasn't able to fix everything. I'm still just as frustrated as before. I'm guessing both sexually and now emotionally. And yeah, we jump into the little ending portion here, the little kind of previews that they do. The 4-coma illustrations. And yeah, I think I'm going to do another episode. So I'm going to jump into that now. That episode wasn't great, but we'll see if they can recover in the next one. I'll catch you in a sec. Rightio, got episode 2 of Nekomonogatari Kuro up here ready to go. Again, picture-in-picture in the description. Pop it up on screen. 23 minutes and 47 seconds on this episode, and we're just going to jump right in. And I'm going to unmute it as well. Rightio? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Are we at the cram school? Oshinomeme will be here, of course. He returns. Well, not returns, but you know what I mean. But it's that night now. We didn't see any cat stuff. Oh, there she is. Hello, Shinobu. It's still a little bit raw, isn't it, guys? What'd you get for her? Some donuts, maybe? Oh, yeah, they have to do this, of course. Kind of the blood-sucking thing. But this isn't what I want. She wants to die. Oh. I think she wants the sweets instead. Not really interested in your blood. Yeah, kind of the strings here and the guitar. It's really beautiful production choice for the opening, I think. Even the guitar strings and the power lines there. Is this Hanakawa's VA again? Because I think she's doing a far better job with this kind of production of a song than her previous one. Again, it's hard to tell for me. I'm bad with voices. Cat walked out from behind the guitar. And then, yeah, the red of the guitar turns into those flowers. I love the hair there. And losing the cat pin, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's the next day. No, she still wants some donuts. Or whatever sweet it is. Yep, donuts, great. Nah, she fucking loves donuts. Look at that Powerpuff Girls shit. Nope, still not on speaking terms, of course. Give me that. Finished it in 3 bites or 4 bites. It's pretty quick. Oh, like a dog. Okay. Like she's doing it to get treats. Like he's shaking. Okay. You can pick it up. You don't have to eat it off the ground. Oh, and the paper too. I'm sure Oshina would find what's going on here more fascinating than any donut. Yeah, but you shouldn't feel guilty for it. It's what you wanted to do. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I remember. Maybe it would be interesting to watch Kizu last, because it's just a lot of teasing for whatever happened back then. But I guess I'll never know. I've watched it now, so. Spin around 3 times and say woof. She's not going to say woof. She did a cool spin, though. You don't have to eat the packaging, too. Oh. Oh, were you? Great. Say the line. No, he didn't say the line. It'll come back to bite you later. Ha ha ha. It's great to have Oshina back. Elaborate. So we apply our own set of logic to them? Yeah, exactly. So you're the one that influences her perception the most. Excuse me? Ha ha ha. Yeah, okay. It's pretty nebulous, but sure. Hmm. Ooh, interesting connection there. That's actually pretty clever. Spotlight again. From the moon. Yeah, how is she doing? Not great. Is she? You sure you don't want to elaborate? I'm sure Oshina would understand. You're very clever, aren't you? Hmm. No, but that's your whole thing. You take somebody else's problem and make it your own. Hmm. I don't believe you. You're not looking me in the eye. Why are you so curious about it? Yep, with the cat. Yep, okay, great. And we just didn't show that because we already know. Will you help me? I think it was. Well done for lasting this long. Now it gets serious. Oh god. That's pretty clever, actually. Oh no. The metal cat. Yes? Okay. Hmm. Normally. No, she most certainly is not. Pretty dangerous. Heartwarming Nichijo. Perfect for the metal cat. The meddlesome cat. Her house. Confirm that she's safe. Oh yeah, and of course Shinobu's involved here as well. Still the Shinobu, Hanakawa, Araragi trilogy going on. What did that say? Privilege of... I don't know what any of that's saying. Oh, there she is. Hello, naked cat lady. Well, naked. Scantily clad. There she is. I would know those boobs anywhere. But you knew she was. Do you know it was? It most certainly is. The black underwear. It's all connected. Oh shit. Great. I love her nyaws. Yep. Mm-hmm. No. Nom the cat, bitch. Miastas? Okay, what do you need help with? These two? Parent 1 and Parent 2? It's kind of like how a cat would get like a dead bird or a mouse or something and give it to somebody. Great. Mmm. Suppressed emotions. Goodbye. She looked a little bit like Hanakawa there in one of those shots. Ooh. Ha, you're a lot of the reason she's become like this. Later on, you're all of the reason. Yeah, okay. That's his arm gone. It's a lot of blood. That's pretty sick looking, actually. I love the silhouette there. Is that what you reckon? Yeah, of course she does. Ningen? Ooh, she doesn't even need herself. Kind of letting you take control in a way. That was a great shot. And then is that the celestial body thing going on? Like that's how big the stress is? That it's, yeah, the moon. Hmm. The girl with abnormal wings? I love the filter on the bodies too. Well, this episode's about a million times better than the last one. That's good. Call the police or something, right? Yep. But oh, in the moonlight, does it evaporate or something? What blood? Yeah. Wondered. Okay. That's a little plot convenience thing, right? His blood evaporates, so there's no evidence of it at the scene. And then phone out of battery. And then I'm back at Oshino's. What's up? Oh, is it because he was out of energy that it took longer to evaporate? Okay, so he's like slept all day. Haha. Yep, she most certainly did. Kuketsuki-chan. It's pretty cute. Yeah, she just needed to put a hat on or something. She would have been fine. Ooh. Is that the blood thing? Maybe. Hmm. Her compatibility was bad. What do you mean? Oh, is that what the foot thing was? Okay. Yeah, but it's not as good. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you need somebody else to help. Indeed. Yeah, great. Good little Shinobu piece. Good. Great. We love Kizumonogatari. Oh, okay. I thought it was a good idea. Oh, that's a lot of missed calls. That's like a lot. Mm-hmm. In sharp contrast, it has already begun. Hmm. But he's very important to what's happening. He's central to it. Don't feel bad. I want to be involved. Oh, of course he's a balancer. He's between Kaganui and Kaiki. No, I disagree. I think he does do something further. Ah, how does this inform Nisimonogatari? Staying out of the way is your most important task. And end of episode. Any post credit? Doesn't seem like it. Interesting. So obviously we know that that's not final. Araragi gets involved again and uses Shinobu, and yeah. But yeah, that episode was way better than the first one. I'm happy I watched this one as well. I saw the word Gynax. I'm guessing they did some kind of, assistant studio stuff. Oh yeah, the claw machine too, pulling him up. I'm sure a lot of the cat's kind of angst towards Araragi is based on his flaunting of his own family situation that Honoka was jealous of, right? And then later on, when it remanifests in Bake, it's more kind of focused on romantic stuff. Where at this point, it probably isn't as much. Maybe a little bit. He is a sexy vampire boy, of course. Quiero daydream. Great. Little four coma to finish us off. Okay. You shouldn't do that when a bear chases you. Yeah, don't do that. Subasa family. Okay, sure. Right here, let's jump into a quick bit of analysis on that episode. Yeah, that was a much better episode than the first one. I think I've said that a couple of times now. Things actually happened. They even kind of told us that now we're going to get serious. We've just kind of been stuffing around a little bit. And when they did get serious, it was quite good. So I don't know why we couldn't have gotten serious a little bit earlier. I guess we needed that A little bit of setup with the love context from the first episode and all that kind of stuff, but interesting stuff. Got to see Shinobu. Shinobu's great. We love Kizumonogatari. We love that conflict. We love that dichotomy between the two. We love that symbiotic relationship that they have. We got to see lots of cute Shinobu with the donuts as well. We got to see Oshino Meme for the first time in ages, which is great. Love me some Oshino Meme, so that was very good. He seemed to be all over what was going on immediately, which is, in typical Oshino style. And we got to see Black Hanakawa, kind of very brutal and violent Black Hanakawa, one we hadn't really seen much before, not to this level at least. She was quite violent towards the end of Bake, of course, but it was a very different kind of type of violent, you know what I mean? So yeah, ripped his arm off and kind of, spoke down to him a little bit. And then where did we end off? It was kind of Oshino, again, explaining the situation, the connection between Shinobu and Araragi, of course, and yeah, kind of leading into saying, hey, don't get involved in this one, Araragi. It's not up for you. It's not it's too dangerous for you. You're too close. You shouldn't get involved. You're going to get hurt. All these other things, right? We know, of course, he does get involved and Shinobu gets involved, and that's how we solve the crisis. We kind of know our solution point. Now, what happens at the end, we know what happens. And yeah, it kind of talks to Araragi's philosophy, kind of putting himself where he's not needed just because he wants to help out. That's what he does. So telling him this is maybe a little test from Oshino as well. We will see. Either way, I got the episode up here, and yeah, I'm just going to talk through it, talk about what I want to talk about, and pause it when I do. So we start at a very familiar location, which they've used a lot of visual design elements to set up as such, up to and including this big window with the moon, which we saw in the first episode of Bake. We're at the cram school, and here's Shinobu as well. Right here, not looking too happy about everything, of course. It didn't really go the way she wanted it to go at the end of Kizu. Kind of not on speaking terms with Araragi, still holding that grudge a little bit. Which is very jarring after a whole season of her talking in Nisei. However, they're going to do the deed where they, do the blood drinking thing to stop her from dying and all that kind of thing, whatever their connection is. And she spots some donuts. And if we know one thing about Shinobu, she loves donuts. Another thing I've noticed is we don't have our traditional wall of text in the same way anymore, which is a bit of an interesting decision for sure. This is the 30th of April, implying that this is after midnight that he's doing this as well. Because otherwise, the timeline later, where it's still the 30th of April, the next kind of 12 hours later, wouldn't make sense. Not that it's really relevant, but I'm just keeping an eye on it. I think Shinobu is quite cute and endearing here in the way that she wants to get the donuts. I'm not too sure about the whole dog training stuff, but sure. You can go for that if you want. Shots the whole thing in 3 bites. How impressive. She used to smile so often, but an irritated, sour face is all she puts on now. If I do remember back to Kizu, she was smiling a lot, so this must be jarring. It isn't what she wants initially, but she does come around. Now we know. Yeah, and this is where she speaks, and then Araragi's like, huh, what's going on? And then he does 3 spins. Pretty good. And then, yeah, the scene starts. Hey, I'm Moshino Meme, I'm here to talk about the cat. Interesting conversation here about kind of what we've talked about before regarding perspective on oddities and how it gives them power and shape and what they look like. The justification here for Shinobu is that, well, she may not look like that for everybody, you know what I mean? But because you have the most influence over what she looks like, you envision her as an 8-year-old girl, so then she's an 8-year-old girl. We can speak about what this means for Araragi, but I don't really want to. I think it's more interesting that this is how he sees the most dangerous creature potentially in the show as someone this small and fragile. Expectations still have an effect, parents' expectations. And we kind of link that Araragi's somewhat like a parent to Shinobu, this 8-year-old girl, in that he influences what she looks like, in the same way that I'm sure Hanakawa's parents are influencing everything that she does as well. Just kind of showing the negative side to family in a lot of ways. So obviously, Oshino Meme in true Oshino Meme style kind of probes Araragi like he already knows all the answers. We only briefly mentioned her earlier, but how's class rep doing? Talking about Hanakawa, of course. And initially, Araragi's cagey. He looks up at the roof a lot, doesn't want to talk about it. I'm also looking at kind of the desks in the background all stacked up. It's like I'm back. It's like I'm back in Bake. That's very cool. Anyway, he doesn't want to talk about Hanakawa, obviously, because, part of it is he swore that he wouldn't tell anybody, and he still doesn't tell Oshinomeme about that, of course. But he also doesn't want to really think about it at the moment. It frustrates him. There's a bit of disappointment in Oshinomeme here. Kind of Araragi's like, well, it's her own problem. She can deal with it. I don't want to get involved. All these other things. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Let me get the exact lines. Even if I could, only she can help herself. It's the only way she can be saved. Then this informs the scene later, at the end of the episode, where he's like, no, you can't be involved here. It's way too dangerous. It's a test. It's obviously a test, right? Oshino wants Araragi to say, fuck that. Hanakawa's my friend. I want to be involved. Pretty clever little stuff. I like this. So, as I thought, the scene at the start of, or at the end of last episode, was the first part of a scene we'd seen previous before during Tsubasa Cat, without the whole cat part, which is plugged in here on the end. It is a silver cat with no tail, and she buries it, and that causes some kind of oddity to occur. Of course, since they have been touched by oddities, they are more likely to find oddities, and so forth. Yep, and Oshinomeme suspects it's the meddlesome cat, or the metal cat as they're calling it now. And he is 100% correct. And I love this. That's what he said. Well done for lasting this long. Thank you. Now it gets serious. Great. Love it. So it kind of anticipates the audience's reaction to previous episode and the start of this one, in that, oh, it's all just jokes. And now it's like, okay, the plot's starting. It's literally, I've talked about this before, how Monogatari splits its scenes into jokes, then plot. Then it goes from there. And now it's actually literally delineating it through text on screen. I think that's very funny, very meta, very we're aware we're a show. And I actually really like it. This one got a real chuckle out of me. And it really spoke to me, because I didn't think the first episode was very serious. And now it's like, yeah, now pay attention. This is where it all starts. Again, Oshinomeme knows more than he should. Hanakawa, the class rep, she's perfect for the meddlesome cat. I think he senses that she's repressing a lot of stuff, which is kind of the cause and effect of the meddlesome cat. So, yeah. Araragi probes, what should I do then? He says they're going to split up. Kind of sends Araragi to go to Hanakawa's house and check on her to make sure that she's okay. And that's when we run into the meddlesome cat. I wonder what Oshinomeme is doing this whole time then. He says they're splitting up, so he must have been doing something this night as well. Is this all just a test for Araragi? Maybe. Miner's antics? There's lots of stuff written on the walls and the roads and loads of different stuff. Is that like a 3, 2, 1? And then, yeah, we see her. Okay, it's like a countdown. Interesting. There's one touch I like here, which is that he recognizes that it's Hanakawa from both her breasts and that she's wearing the same underwear. Great job, Araragi. You being a pervert solved the case. I love the tension here. It's like, what's she dragging around? Of course, I had my suspicions, but yeah, pretty great stuff. I don't get it at all, but aren't friends supposed to help each other? Help me get rid of these two bodies. Great. Please get rid of them, or if you would like it, I can finish them off now. These must be my master's parents. And of course, this master that she's talking about is Hanakawa. So it's like on a subconscious level, getting the kind of cat to act out these desires to attack these different people causing her stress, right? Hence the parents. That's the first one to go. It's the first pretty obvious one to go too. And yeah, I didn't know Araragi was the one that ended up calling the ambulance for them. That's an interesting little detail. I think I can see a little bit of Hanakawa coming through in this phase here as well, which is very interesting. It's when Araragi calls out for Hanakawa. And then this reminds the cat, hey, this guy's causing me a ton of stress too, or causing my master a ton of stress. What should we do? Don't you just thrust every kind of expectation onto my master, damn it. And again, deep use of red, the moon in the background, invokes Kizumonogatari to me. You are a lot of the reason that she has come like this. This is kind of like the hair raising on the back of a cat's neck when it's mad too, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, I didn't know that we were getting this violent, which is cool. He loses an arm and bleeds kind of everywhere. Love this shot. Big fan of silhouetted shots, kind of the raining blood. Good stuff. And this is where the energy drain comes in. You make a lot of fuss about me losing that arm. Compared to the pain my master has tolerated her entire life, this is nothing but a mosquito bite. Damn. Being Hanako is pain, but she's all the more interesting for it. Master has me now, she doesn't need you. I wonder if that's some cope. Doesn't even need parents or friends or anyone, she doesn't even need herself. This is bad. This is like the cat's like abusing the situation a little bit more. It's a little less kind of magnanimous. What's the word? Benevolent. There we go. Than I originally thought. There's a lot of you that just tie her down, robbing her of her freedom. I'll start by releasing the stress within her that could match the earth in scale. And this is where I think our celestial body motif comes in. I'm still to see the guitar. I'm wondering what the guitar's about. I'm wondering if it's a metaphor or if it's actually like a tangible piece of her story that we have to plug in somewhere. Like these kind of, what's the guy that carries Earth on his back? That's Atlas, right? It's kind of like that in a way. I've got this weight on me that's the, weight of the entire world. I'm carrying the weight of the world, everybody. That, and of course, Monogatari has just used sun and moon in a lot of different metaphors now. Up to and including Nisei Monogatari, so I think they're just, kind of fascinated by the concept, cyclical nature of it all. Hanakama Tsubasa, the girl with abnormal wings. First time we've heard the wings metaphor. We've seen a lot of those feathers with Senjugahara. So yeah, Araragi ends up calling the ambulance for the kind of parents, which I'm guessing that there'll be kind of a mysterious scene, but sure. Then kind of rides away, lets them be found. His blood kind of boils up to the surface. We've also got a mini metaphor in there surrounding his phone battery coming to zero, kind of based on his energy as well, which is pretty good. I like the boiling blood in the moonlight as kind of a justification for why there's no kind of evidence for the crime scene. It works. We don't need it, but, it's nice that it's there. Kind of these flickering lights as well. Speaks a lot to the energy levels of Araragi. Again, energy drained, phone, battery drain. It's pretty good. And he wakes up in the cram school, Shinobu by his side, all bandaged up. 12 hours later, he needed to recover a lot after that. I thought you were going to die there for a bit, Araragi. I never thought he was going to die. I guess Oshino knows best. They're kind of querying why Araragi was so weak to this, right? Well, I guess I'd just lost a lot of blood and blah, 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 and it gave her some blood, so maybe that's the cause of everything. No, given how resistant to death you are now, you should be able to handle fairly serious wounds like this. But in this case, your opponent was bad, in reference to the energy drain. The compatibility with your opponent was bad. I know I've talked about this before, but the meddlesome cat drains energy in the same way that stress kind of drains energy as well. Cats are always full of energy. They're always running around and doing a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, there's lots you can grab onto the cat metaphor as it applies to Hanakawa. And this is the justification. You're done for if the meddlesome cat touches you again like that. If she steals your arm and then drains you again, you might not make it. This is the stakes. I didn't realize this in the moment. You may have given her your blood right before and be part vampire, but beneath that you're still human and you're up against an oddity. You're out of your league. Oh, I see. The fact that she recognizes and needs me for nutrients means that she has the will to live on. No, it's not about that. It's a bit more emotional. I think that's what Oshino is getting at. He's being a little bit naive. Okay, I get it. Like, especially like there's here and then little smirk, dumbass. That's great. And naturally, Araragi kind of had a lot of missed calls and missed messages from his two sisters. Probably the rest of his family too. How can I possibly plod home with Hanakawa in that state? And here it is. You're going to have to. It's too much danger. You should leave it for the professionals. It's gotten out of your hands. Now, what does Araragi do? This is the question, right? I'm pretty sure he just goes and pursues Hanako anyway. He doesn't care about his own life. He puts others before himself. I have failed as a balancer. And of course he's a balancer. Now it makes sense. Between Kaiki and Kaganui, he potentially acted as the balancer of even that group. Works kind of metaphorically. And then this talks to Nisei Monogatari. It's not a matter of your feelings. It's not a matter of, your sense of justice, maybe, your personal code. It's a matter of strength. You're simply not strong enough to do this. Now what will you do? Are you a fake in that regard? If anything, I would say that staying out of my way is your most important task. There's no way he's going to do that. So, I don't know what tree we're barking up, but it's a very different one to what's actually going to occur. Yeah, that episode was great. I loved it way more than the first one. I've said that like a number of times now. There was nothing at the end, right? Only the next time on, which was actually quite humorous, I thought, even if a lot of it went over my head. But yeah, interested to see where this goes next week. I'll probably try to do the two and finish this off. I just one thing, I haven't really learnt that much about stuff I didn't already know. You know what I mean? Which I think's coming next week with the two episodes, episode 3 and episode 4. So I think that will reveal some stuff that potentially we didn't know up to this point. I know a lot of it can be inferred from Tsubasa Cat already. I think a lot of the Shinobu stuff here is a bit more interesting. I want to see how that manifests in the end. Production perspective, pretty good. I thought the second episode was better than the first. The first had some wonky character designs and that kind of thing, but maybe it was meant to be ugly. I don't know. Weird. Either way, thank you very much for watching this week. Gonna watch this next week, then move on to, I think it's Monogatari's second season, which seems to have a bunch of stuff in it, so thumbs up. Just going to do my show stuff before I sign off. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you would like me to follow you back. And I've got the Discord, so join the Discord if you would like. Have lots of conversations about Monogatari, anything else I'm watching, and basically anything else you want as well. Rightio, thank you very much for watching this week, and I'll catch you guys again next week. Rightio, catch you later.